Guests on this show do not reflect that of the staff.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I'm not alone today. I'm back with my co-host.
Joe, what's up?
Hey.
Welcome back for me. It's a great day, and it's a little cooler than yesterday, 414 day. Hope y'all got out and celebrated. But yeah, thanks, man. I had to be with the family, just celebration of life for my uncle, Terrell Adams. So thank you for everybody who did attend his memorial service this past weekend. That was nice of everybody. Great words spoken from everybody. From shout out to Pastor Carlos, Arnold Syfax that got up there, Reggie, Uncle Reggie. Appreciate that. Uncle T getting up there doing his thing. Uncle Terrence Adams too, as well. Of course, and Miss Sandra Staples for being our host, holding it down for the family, is always looking out for us over the years. So thank y'all and everybody else. And of course, I can't forget cousin Canel and cousin Patricia Adams, Patricia Syfax, and cousin Canel Adams as well. So thank to everybody. I just had to shout out my family because we look good up there doing what we do, is representing. And yeah, we back to represent on Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, man. Nice interview yesterday. Yeah, Supreme on there doing his thing, so it was good to hear him.
Yep.
Went through those questions on you pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, we got through them pretty quick. He had some really great answers to some of the questions that we asked, and gave us a real good idea on what to expect in the process of the state budget and kind of what the highlights are. And I think we're going to continue that conversation a little bit more today. Okay. We're going to talk state budget stuff.
Cool. All right. Which is really important.
All right. So, yeah. First of all, I wanted to say, go back and kind of give an update on some things that we talked about earlier in the month or earlier last month. Election officials reported on the April 1st election that there was a ballot shortage at 69 of Milwaukee's 180 polling locations. So there was a hearing yesterday to kind of address the issue. One of the directives that they kind of came to a consensus on that would be a good step forward would be the election commission said they're going to host some listening sessions about the last elections. The sessions are already scheduled in May with poll workers, but then the commission is planning community listening sessions open to the public sometime in June. The official dates and times of those meetings have not been yet set, but we will definitely make sure we get you those dates, times, and locations so that if you want to be a part of those listening sessions and give your feedback about some of the frustrations that some folks incurred at the polling locations this year, that'll be your opportunity to let the Elections Commission kind of know what your concerns are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's all about. And we talked about that a lot yesterday about, letting your elected officials know what issues matter to you the most, and really how to give that good positive feedback. We're going to dig into that also a little bit more today on how to reach out to those elected officials and make sure that your voice is heard.
Yeah, big time. It's definitely time more than any time just to be making sure we connected with our elected officials now. Like you said, and you always say, you may not care about politics, but politics
is going to care about you.
Thank you.
Every time I think we are seeing it more and more. every day as
Mhm.
as new policy and new legislation gets rolled out. Either it's from the state, the federal or the local level. It doesn't really matter. We're seeing a lot of changes, and
Yeah.
our job is to make sure that the people are informed and know what's going on and how they can participate in those events and let their voice be counted and let their voice be heard and their vote be counted.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so let's dive into this just a little bit here.
Let's do it.
And some of the highlights, I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I want to dig in a little bit more on what's in the budget. I know we talk about the budget, we talk about the process of the budget, we talk about how your voice can be heard in the budget, but what is actually in it? And so, uh, one of the biggest things, and we talked about this yesterday as well, is the historic investment in education. And Governor Evers has proposed 3.15 billion with a B, Brian, billion in K through 12 public school funding. That's the largest direct investment the state has made in education in 30 years.
Is that history or just 30 years? 'Cause
The last 30 years. Now,
Wow.
additionally, the University of Wisconsin system also is receiving 856 million over the budget period. That's the most significant increase in history.
Okay.
So lots of money being poured into education. And Brian, when we had our guest on, we had the topic
Mhm.
about education. That was one of the things we really heard a lot about, was that folks need funding to continue to do what they do.
Well, we heard it from our teachers. And then when we brought in the childcare workers, we heard it
Yep.
from them just to make sure they get quality childcare workers. And we see that the importance of that within the childcare system, and seeing a lot of the people that's raising your kids. You obviously want them to be trained to the highest extent, especially if it's in a certified facility. Well, even if it's not, if it's just like in a in the everyday household daycare, you still want some levels of the experience. And I would love to see, like you said, I don't know if that childcare will be included into any of that, but
yeah, let's hope so,
because I'm
Yeah.
sure it's a crazy breakdown into how and where that money is
Well,
exactly
actually,
going.
we're gonna get into that still here just a
There
little
you go.
bit here.
Yeah,
We'll get into that a little bit more. But there's also some youth mental health initiatives, and we've talked about this, with our guest as well,
Yeah.
about the need for having those really good support systems out there for our youth. They go through a lot, and I don't think that even as adults now, and being the father of a child, I don't think I understand everything that they go through.
Mhm.
And some of the pressures that they feel look a lot different than they looked
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago.
Generations changes. Yeah, right.
So, making sure that we have those, the budget's going to allocate 300 million towards youth mental health programs, including peer-to-peer suicide prevention efforts and expanded mental health training. This initiative aims to address the rising concern about students' well-being. So really good stuff there. Again, this is all has to be voted on. There's a whole process, which we explained yesterday, that it's got to go through. This is just the proposed budget, but there's really some stuff in here that could help some of the partners in the communities and different people out. So
Yeah, this is definitely going back to a lot of what we were hearing. Still, again, youth mental health initiatives is something that we can see being used locally, big time.
yeah, absolutely. And we also know the importance of infrastructure. Brian, you and I have had these personal
Man, don't get me started.
conversations.
Don't get me started.
Do
I
we
love talking about the
even wanna
infrastructure.
use the P word of potholes or curbs and gutters and drain
Man.
basins and all the other things that are so important to us. But there's also some money.
Or the other important B word, which is bridge, because the
Bridge.
bridges all
Yeah.
across the country.
Yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
and they're working on one down by my house.
The one that's
now.
been stuck. You know that one? Do you know the story about that one?
Uh-uh.
It got stuck, and then once it was up, it was up.
So it's kind of like, here it is,
Yeah,
right?
it's just yeah. So they've been working on. I think that was the one that just they've been working on for the last. They feel like 2 years, but I guess a year and some change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think even when I moved here, they were
Mm.
starting the work.
I have
last year.
not rode across that bridge in a long time.
But yeah, so there's definitely some transportation funding to help support infrastructure. One of the things that really stands out that's going to impact the listeners is the proposed increase to licensing fees. So to support the infrastructure and these programs in fixing our potholes, fixing our gutters, fixing our curbs, fixing our bridges. They propose a increase in vehicle title fees by $120, a driver's license renewal fee of $8.50. And these charges will aim to generate significant revenue for transportation projects, but have sparked debate a little bit over, some residents, some different people kind of have a little bit of different opinion on it, on where, money should be spent. And that's what these listening sessions are about. But yeah, go ahead, Brian. Did you have something?
No, I was just looking at the $120 increase.
I know. And that's going to affect the folks that we serve, the folks that
that's
are
what
out
I was
there
exactly thinking about.
Yeah, but it's really going to hit them. But, if that does go into effect, let's just hope that money can be used to help improve some of our infrastructure in and around Milwaukee and throughout the state. For sure. We definitely need it. Also been some healthcare and then the child care as well. Increases a proposed $500 million investment aims to protect affordable childcare options, support providers in hiring more staff, which we heard from partners as well, that they need that money to help hire more staff on and well-trained staff.
There we go.
And help reduce wait lists, thereby alleviating financial pressures on families. So yeah, there's a lot in this, Brian, that I think is historic in the way that it's being rolled out. And again, we got to wait and see what all gets approved. But some of the stuff is really, really good and could really help out a lot of the partners that we have, as well as people in the community. So
yeah, I mean, everything. And look, I mean, just looking at what they're highlighting. I mean, even support for the arts.
Yeah.
Again, addressing this is one addressing contamination.
Yeah, the PFAS.
Yeah,
and that's been an argument going on in Wisconsin for years about cleaning up the waterways. And thinking about it, that's kind of a bipartisan issue.
It is.
I don't really think that even goes across. That's one party or the other. I think all of us want clean drinking water. All of us want our rivers and our streams to be clean. Whether you're fishing in it or whether you use it for a water source for drinking or for gardening or whatever, you want clean waters.
Yeah,
we want to make sure those are clean to chemicals.
We got a lot of folks, especially a lot of people that work up in the Capitol, who go fishing and hunt and do a lot of things. This should be extremely important for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of people do a lot of, we think about the illegal dumping that goes on in Milwaukee, but a lot of illegal dumping still does happen up north. I remember a controversial successful business owner here in Milwaukee had, did some dumping in his own state at one point. And, I mean, not in his own town in here in Wisconsin. And, and it was like some chemicals that was from his company, but still, it was, at the time, it was being allowed by the former governor. So anything that can, clean up our ways. I mean, just, any weird contamination that is going to harm, people that may want to buy land in the future in a space or, illegal dumping. I mean, we need assistance down here with some type of funding to clean up the legal dumping with the tires in Milwaukee. It's tires on the north side just sitting over in one neighborhood. All that, of course, like I said, it costs. That money should come from somewhere, some type of special operation to clean up. And we don't want to look like some of these other cities that just allow this dumping and trash to just pile up, and and then nobody's being held accountable.
Right.
So
it's
my little, I just like like clean space, man. Everywhere, wherever you from, you want to make sure that your area is clean. It don't matter if you're in the inner city or out in the suburbs.
Yeah, I agree. And the state of Wisconsin is in a really good position right now as far as with as much surplus as they have. That they're sitting on this money. There's one thing to always remember, that there was probably some cuts there somewhere along the line that led to that surplus.
Yeah, and I think we kind of mentioned that last year. That was kind of some of the thing. It was some, I can't remember exactly where, but it was some cuts. Like,
right. I don't want to speculate on any of that, but at the same time, it's like they're in a good position and they have a chance. The legislator, I think, has a chance. The governor has proposed, as well. We have a chance to do something right for the people of Wisconsin. So That's why it's so important to get out there and advocate on
Mhm.
behalf of the things that matter to you.
Yeah.
And you have to be an advocate for those things. You know, sitting back on the couch and watching the news and yelling at the TV, or that doesn't do any good. You have to get up and get out
Yeah.
and get active
Yeah.
for,
Yeah, you do.
for some of this
And
stuff.
and just to remind our listeners, there are organizations that you can, link with, and find something that you're passionate about. And I think that's what the main thing about this is, right? Is finding a some type of, focus for you when it comes to, the community, whether it's, the traffic, the trash, the infrastructure, the gun violence. What do you feel is the passion for you and what you want to see change? And then you can kind of latch on to that. You may be that voice or that person in the movement that changes things. Just because it's one person that's been doing it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years don't mean that a new person can't come in and sweep folks off their feet, and with the right type of energy. So I believe that, that don't ever feel like you can't get out here and, support or, come to some of the community stuff and
Mhm.
let your voice be heard.
Yeah, for sure, Brian.
Especially, I know we even mentioned,
Mhm.
or in other organizations, more advocacy at the Capitol,
Mhm.
more engagement at the Capitol when it's time, when they need to hear from the community. This would be the time, when especially when it's any type of, hearings, and I know that's been mentioned through our partners too a lot.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's kind of one of the needs within the community is learning how to advocate. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
people say, "Well, I'm passionate about something. I know, what I believe in, and I know that issue really matters to me,"
Mhm.
but they don't know how to take that first step. They
Yeah.
don't know how to, how to reach out to their legislator, how to get plugged into the community, how to find those organizations that will connect with and resonate with them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, some like you said, Brian, money getting poured into the arts, which I think is great. Uh, Budget recommendations increase funding for the Wisconsin art boards to 2.95 million annually, supporting nonprofit art organizations and promoting the state's creative economy. So that's great.
I like that because you see it. I mean, you see it a lot here. It's great artists. Shout out to the Milwaukee artists of all types. My granddad was an artist, so I respect the artists, the photographers. I love photography. That's a passion of mine. I wish I could draw.
Me
This
too.
is important. I always think like, I always wish I had
Yeah.
that space to build one of those crazy structures out of like wood and tires and use saws,
Yeah.
big metal and steel. So seeing people have that creativity and then giving people the opportunity of all types of art in our state. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's what we need. I mean, Milwaukee got great artists. You mean you can see the murals across the city and tell you right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Go inside the Bucks Arena, inside the Pfizer Forum, you'll see something that was locally created. Look at the guy that made I don't know if anybody's seen the one. He was going around taking pieces of wood throughout the city and carving wood and making Bucks logos and NFL logos. And he just got a contract with the NFL for NFL Drive.
Oh yeah.
Man, come on now. That's right there. He's shouting out Milwaukee. He said he's from Milwaukee,
And
God doing his thing.
yeah.
That right there is somebody who could use some funding. He's already a part of the community, doing things for the community. Throw that man 50,000. Throw that man 100,000. Throw him 25. I don't know. Go.
Well, it's on us too, right, Brian? It's on the everyday folks to sometimes donating $5 or $1. If 100 people or 1,000 people do that adds up.
Yeah,
So
we gotta find that guy. I think we need to interview him.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we get him on the show.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna try.
But one more thing before we get to a break. One more thing about arts is there's some funding in here for film production, and I looked it up.
I like that.
And there are movies being produced here in Milwaukee. And we were on a walk yesterday.
You seen one?
Yesterday evening, and the crew was like bringing all their equipment out and loading it up into a truck. I won't give the exact location, but it was really neat. I couldn't, it was a movie being shot right here in Milwaukee. So that's another piece that is really, really unique and awesome about this.
Yeah, they just shot it's a Christmas movie. That'll be on a Hallmark channel that I don't know if it's out yet. Is that what you seen?
No, well,
Okay.
there's two. I think there are at least two other ones that are
Okay.
being filmed at right now
Okay.
here in Milwaukee.
They're starting to open up. I felt like Milwaukee was kind of being funny with letting big film come here, but they,
Yeah.
take that money,
Oh, yeah.
all of it.
I mean, and not only that, it's great putting Milwaukee on the map.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and inspiring the community to get involved in the arts, to get
Mhm.
involved in the films. And it's not always these big productions that
Yeah.
that really do the great work or bring in all the jobs. Sometimes it's those community based small local theaters.
Yeah. Did you know Milwaukee has a film festival?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Right
Yeah.
down there. Is it the Oriental Theater?
Yeah.
I've been in there one time.
Okay.
A beautiful place.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good times. Oriental Theater, field trips and random class trips and stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Sitting us in there with an old school movie. So is it break time?
It is break time.
Break time it is.
You want to take us out, Brian?
All right, we're gonna take you out from Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, WNOV 860, 106.5 AM. We'll be back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. The University of Michigan's latest consumer sentiment report is painting a grim picture of the U.S. economy. Sentiment dropped 11% since March and more than 40% since December, as Americans across all age groups and income levels report growing financial strain. In a statement, the university said consumers are seeing, quote, multiple warning signs that raise the risk of recession. That includes declining expectations for business conditions, personal finances, incomes, and jobs. The number of people expecting unemployment to rise has now climbed for 5 straight months and is more than double what it was back in November 2024. It's the highest level since 2009. Inflation fears are also heating up. Expectations for price increases over the next year jumped from 5% in March to 6.7% this month. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few spotty rain showers early today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops a high in the lower 50s. Breezy northwest winds around 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting as high as 35. For tonight, decreasing cloud cover, low near 31. By Wednesday, sunshine, high 47 degrees. And Thursday, a chance for rain here late, increasing clouds, a high of 57. Friday, chance for rain, high of 66. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Wisconsin Voice's 3 pillars are protecting democracy. Your vote is your voice. Wisconsin Voices works to protect democracy in Wisconsin by fighting voter suppression, promoting voting rights, and ensuring fair elections for all. Teaching advocacy. Teaching advocacy empowers and educates advocates in Wisconsin by offering training, resources, and support to enhance their skills, fostering a more informed and effective advocacy community for social and economic change. Building community. Wisconsin Voices builds strong communities for a healthy democracy by collaborating with diverse partners, creating networks for positive change, and fostering a sense of belonging and common purpose. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices by going to wisconsinvoices.org. Learn more about what our partners are doing by visiting the events calendar. Listen to recent episodes by going to our podcast and radio. Get involved today.
860 AM 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
Welcome back to Be a Voice Radio with Wisconsin Voices, WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We're just having a conversation about the budget, kind of recapping what's going on, what the important highlights are, but more importantly, what can you do about it? And I hear that question a lot, Brian, in the community as to what can I do?
Mhm.
You know, or why does my vote count?
All right.
It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But it does. And we're going to talk a little bit about the ways that you can actively get involved in this budget process. The first thing is the Joint Committee on Finance, which the state representative also explained yesterday what that was, holds public hearings around the state during the budget season, usually in the spring. These hearings are open forums where citizens can testify, whether you're a teacher, a small business owner, a student, or just a concerned resident. And the locations vary each year. However, there are only 2 remaining. They are both kind of in the northern part of the state. They had one in West Allis, I know. But each representative or some of the senators that are on those committees or even outside of those committees may hold their own listening session. So you may hear one outside of that. I know that there are 2 official listening sessions left. So how do you engage? First, you got to sign up to speak. Prepare a little bit of a testimony and be prepared before you go. I mean, Brian, we know about that. You got to be prepared before you go in to a situation like that to really advocate on behalf of your
Got to make it
organization
make
yourself.
sense. It has to make sense.
Absolutely.
Just getting up there and just running your mouth and you're all over the place.
Right.
No, that's not what we're doing. Come with some documentation.
And don't be I said this yesterday on the show. Don't be afraid to be positive when your legislators do something good.
Yeah.
You send them a letter and say, hey, I really like the way that you supported or authored this bill. You know, it really helped change the organization I volunteer for, or it helped change my community, or helped change my block. You know, so don't be afraid to reach out to them. Trust me, they don't get those pats on the back very often. So that leads us right into what else you can do is you can contact your legislators. Every Wisconsinite has a state senator and a state representative. And trust me when I say that they do want to hear from you. You can call them, email, write letters, or even request a meeting, either virtual or in person. Some of the best practices are to be really specific about the issue that you're calling about or that you're writing about. Make sure, if it's your concern is special education, make sure that you stay focused on that special education message and don't veer off into 100 different things. You may lose them. These are just tips to help people out when they're contacting their legislator. Share a personal story on how that piece of legislation or what your issue is that you're bringing up really affected you or someone that you know or someone that you love. We know how storytelling is really, really important in the process of getting your message out there. And ask them to either support or oppose a particular proposal or a particular piece of legislation. So there's ways that you can find your legislator. You can find them at myvote.wi.gov. Brian, how many times have we said that this on this radio show? People should have this memorized by now, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but tell them one more time.
myvote.wi.gov.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to give you all the information you need about how to register to vote, about where to vote, about who your elected representatives are.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you need to know regarding elections or voting, myvote.wi.gov. So one of the other ways that you can really try to let your voice be heard during this budget process is you could submit a written comments to the Joint Finance Committee. They do accept written input by email and sometimes via an online submission portal. Emails can be sent to budget.comments@legis.wisconsin.gov. And that is budget.comments@legis.wisconsin.gov. and you can email the Joint Finance Committee and let them know what really sticks out to you and what you would like to see this budget go towards.
Okay. That's good info right there.
Yeah.
Big time.
And again, when you're writing these things, make sure to tell your personal stories and how this impacted you. Make sure to tell, or how a change in the budget would really, really affect what you're doing or what you're working on, or even your own personal life. So, yeah, just some great ways to get involved, in other ways to just organize and, find nonprofits and advocacy groups that meet the issues that you're concerned about, that are most important to you. And Brian, could you just go through and maybe highlight some of our partners that do some of this great work in our community?
Of course. You got Citizen Action, dream.org, Milwaukee LGBT Community Center. You got, groups like that just get out and just
you say Souls to the Polls.
Of course, Souls to the Polls.
Yeah.
You got the the Sherman Park. They get out there and do work. Believe Share Love is another one. They get out there and do work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got it seems like and that's just highlighting a few. I could definitely tap in the community. I think we got another big one was the Village and Raising Our Village group, two important organizations. Northwest Side, even just Northwest Side community development, they do their thing as well. Milwaukee Turners, cannot forget Milwaukee Turners.
Yeah.
Milwaukee Turners is a big one. I think and we got some growing ones too that are just gonna be hitting the ground as well. And it's because of the people that run the organizations, them being as professional. Once they find that, once they get that civic engagement piece down, because they already, it's in their work, whether in mental health or healthcare, but like, a Keys to the Streets Foundation, Lupus Has No Face. Those are just two of the, few that I can think of that I know that'll be, in that advocacy piece, and that, even probably having people go up there and for hearings, just because the importance, I can see them connecting with you, like, hey, we got this spot, this is something that you should be advocating for, along the lines of healthcare or, whatever, or mental health. And we want them to get up there and be able to support and get up there and support the whatever the cause, or whatever the I guess whatever the cause, or whatever the current issue is within the budget, the funding, not getting enough support. So we want more people reaching out. And if you see in these organizations that we do work with, and you do want to tap in with them, or if we got some that we will be coming to get, because we'll be back out there.
You're about to really dig in as in that partner field.
I like doing that. So going back out there and finding some that are finding those that I just haven't connected with at all, or ones that we need to reestablish some type of relationship with. That's what I want to do. So let's get it going.
Yeah, I mean, just side note, Brian.
Yeah,
you love being in the community. And what's your, again, for the listeners, what's your position again?
Oh, so it's a community outreach organizer for Wisconsin Voices. Was lead organizer before, but the community part on it,
yeah, I mean, you're always out there in the community. You're always talking to people. It just seems like that's so much more needed in our world today.
Yeah,
with people being able to connect those dots and bridge those gaps. And I feel like that's something that you do in your position.
Yeah, and I try, and I feel like I could do so much more. And I think it's just, we just need more people that's not afraid to come talk to each other. We have to find some ways to find a common ground, whether, is two Black people from the same community that, that don't agree with each other, or, it's a Black guy from the North Side and a white guy from, District 3. We need everybody to find some common grounds and, establish, just like one of our guests, just everybody coming together across the city. Of course we see all the, the the problems, but it has to be a way for us to kind of start taking the city back, and then also using the power in the people, because all these people we pass right here, look at all these folks that pass up and down the street. You never know right here who is doing the work already, and they're not even out here getting credited for it, but because they don't know how to get it established. Because you got people out here feeding the community, clothing the community, bathing the community, doing those things that need to be highlighted, but we haven't found them, and their mission for their organization aligns with one of our or something civically that we believe in. They just don't know how to get into it. They may not be like, hey, I don't want to do the organizing thing, I don't want to be out here civically, but I do want to go to the Capitol and speak because this is important. You got all those folks that got all these these different variables into why they want to what's the passion for them and their beliefs and what they feel is a dedicated mission for them to get completed in their life. And they may not want to do it on a group organizing. They may just want to go up there and speak. Right. Or the people that don't want to speak and they just want to run an organization and just get great people to help them run the organization. So we need to find those folks, and we need to embrace those people and let people feel comfortable to be themselves, and so they can complete their mission here to make the city better, make the state better. So and
get them plugged in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's kind of what we do, is really getting them plugged in and engaged.
Drag them into the groups and come on around. Look, you want to do what? And that's what I do, and that's what I was trying to do with some of the people I brought in through our partnerships. Like, oh, you passionate about this? I'm watching you. I wasn't even in the work with some of these people that I brought in, and there's a couple that I wish that would tap in with me more, because they, but for whatever reason they just don't feel like really being tapped into the Wisconsin Voices political side, which I understand, but it's something I brought in that just was like, okay, you passionate, you align with the vision of the organization, or at least what the organization is pushing. You need to at least get in these groups, like you said, bring them in, meet these folks, meet the Joes, the Angeliques, the Nicoles, the Bryans, the Lanishas, especially the Lanishas. Lanisha connected for real too. And everybody. I miss somebody.
No, I think you got everybody.
Good. So you bring them into those type of folks, so they're able to enhance their organizations. And I think that's the biggest thing about it. It ain't about that connection is more important, because look, I may help you for 5 minutes, but I'll send you over to somebody in the community, and y'all working every day for months and build a tighter relationship than I had with them. That's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's all about building those connections and building those relationships with people from all different walks of life and all different places, which I think is kind of the best part of this job, is actually getting out there and listening to what the needs of the people are, and listening to some of the stories that they, of what they've went through. And then they get inspired, and it empowers them to start an organization. You're like, this affected me in this way. I want to make sure that I can help other people when they're in that situation.
I agree.
And I think that's where Wisconsin Voices really comes in and says, okay, what do you need next? What steps do you need to take next to really fulfill your mission and grow your organization? And we're here to help you and support you in that way.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I think we got a caller.
Caller,
you're on the air.
Yes. Good afternoon. Wisconsin Action.
I think you're doing that on purpose now.
What's going on? It is on purpose now.
First of all, I want to say, gentlemen, good afternoon to Joe, my fellow veteran from the United States Navy.
Yes, sir.
Three scrubbed up, 3 squids in the tub. Hey, Joe, don't get mad at me, my fellow veteran. I'm a Marine. And Joe, you know the history of the Marines, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
Now, Marines is what part of the Navy, sir?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said the Marines, back in the days, was what part of the Navy? The Marines was the ground part.
Yeah.
The Navy is in the ships.
Right. Yeah. The Marines are a part of the Navy. That's what...
Yeah,
I don't know if everyone knows that, but yeah, they are. We like to remind them of that too.
Hey, Joe, I just want to call in and holler at you. Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
I want to say, young man, thank you so very much for being there. Also,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
hey, Brian, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Back in the days, Keon Malone Jackson used to have young people used to come on this show back in the days, and the young people used to come. Keon Jackson Malone used to have on the show. They tell about what's going on in the community and stuff like that. But your name sounds familiar. Were you a part of that?
I never got to be on the show with him way back. I did the men's show with Keon, and Keon brought me on into the radio.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That was me. So yeah, he brought me on the
that
men's
was
show
you.
for the first time, October of 2022, I believe. October of 2022, he brought me on the men's show. Prior to that, I was doing like little random pop-ups with podcasts with people I knew they want me to come on and just speak about certain topics. So I was a little comfortable, but I got a more experience from just Keon bringing me on those few times. I did miss a couple shows because I was sleeping a little longer than I was expecting. He wanted me to be up there at like 7 o'clock, I think. But yeah, that was me. That was me when I before we got the Be a Voice Radio. I was on the Man Show with Keon.
Yes, sir. I was just
times.
checking because I remember that back in the days when Keon had. I thought you kind of sound familiar, but yeah, because back in the days that was for real. That was for real. And thank you, young man, for being what you're doing right now, being there sitting next to Joe and stuff like that. And I appreciate you, gentlemen, for being there. I do have a question. Oh, by the way, to Mr. Devo and Mr. Who's the other person? Mr. Who's the other person?
JT Jr.
Hey, Jermaine. You know I love you, brother.
Love you too, JT, man. Love you, man.
Okay. But anyway, let me get back to the gentleman in the studio. Gentlemen, I want to thank both of you so very much for being there. And tell Miss Tamika Bukarich, I hope I didn't mess up her name that too much, but to Mrs. Tamika Bukarich, I just want to thank her for starting everything anyway. I hope she's doing okay. I understand that she went through some honorables and stuff, mentions, but you gentlemen, you can mention that what happened with Miss Tamika Bukarich that started this. I know I'm messing up her last name big time, but I just want to say respectfully, gentlemen, thank you so very much for being there. Hey, Brian, thank you, young man, because I remember that from the old school when you were there with Mr. Keon Jackson Malone back in those days, sir. And Joe,
yes, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for yours as well.
Now, I have a question, though. Everything that's going on, I hear the music.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We're about to
We're
go to break.
about to go to break here.
I know. Hey, Jermaine, just 1 second. Jermaine, before you go there, I just want to ask you a question, gentlemen. What you think about President Trump trying to send everybody to that place, El Salvador? Now, if we get in trouble, and the veteran get in trouble, Joe, I'm sending this to you, Joe, because the veteran get in trouble, and they send a veteran that is from the United States to El Salvador, what can we do? Just sit and cry, or do just like everybody else, just sit and cry? Or do we have any ups on that, Joe? Is you a veteran, sir? Can you answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to continue to engage our legislators. We need to continue to make sure that everybody we know, our family members, our neighbors, our friends are registered to vote. That when this next election comes around, that we all get out and let our voice be heard. That's how we can fight whatever obstacle comes our way, is through the ballot box and through our voice and through engagement civically with our legislators. All right, we're going to go to break real quick. We'll be right back. WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. The University of Michigan's latest consumer sentiment report is painting a grim picture of the U.S. economy. Sentiment dropped 11% since March and more than 40% since December, as Americans across all age groups and income levels report growing financial strain. In a statement, the university said consumers are seeing, quote, multiple warning signs that raise the risk of recession. That includes declining expectations for business conditions, personal finances, incomes, and jobs. The number of people expecting unemployment to rise has now climbed for 5 straight months and is more than double what it was back in November 2024. It's the highest level since 2009. Inflation fears are also heating up. Expectations for price increases over the next year jumped from 5% in March to 6.7% this month. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few spotty rain showers early today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops a high in the lower 50s. Breezy northwest winds around 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting as high as 35. For tonight, decreasing cloud cover, low near 31. By Wednesday, sunshine, high 47 degrees. And Thursday, a chance for rain here late, increasing clouds, a high of 57. Friday, chance for rain, high of 66. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Hey, Milwaukee. Tune into Be a Voice Radio, discussing the latest local and national community and civic topics that matter to you the most. Every Monday and Tuesday at 11 a.m. on 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
860 AM 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
Welcome back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. That was a good call, a good question that our last caller had, about what we can do. What can we do when we feel frustrated or we feel disenfranchised by our government? Yeah, Jermaine, do you have something?
Yeah, Joe. I just been watching the news lately and watching a whole lot of stuff that's been going on. And what I don't understand, well, I do kind of understand it, but what I don't get is how you can make a mistake, realize you made a mistake, but then say there's nothing you can do about it, as if you don't have control to fix the situation that you created. And for them to sit there and say, well, there's nothing that we can do, that's either telling me you don't want to follow the judge's order because it show a sign of weakness and show a sign that you failed and then you made a mistake, or, and this is just the views and opinion of Mr. Rideout, that brother you sent over there is no longer alive.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, there's a lot of things out there that are concerning.
Because why can't you get him back? It's just it's as simple as, okay, you got the information on him. You know he's there because you sent him there. So go to where he's at, get him, put him back on the plane, bring him back.
You would think things could be that simple, wouldn't you?
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, nobody don't know where he's at.
Come
All right,
on,
that's
man.
it.
Well, one part of democracy defense is protecting people's due right to process.
Yeah. And
There
was no protection.
Exactly. And everybody, and you saw a Supreme Court ruling 9-0.
He's blended in
9-0 in the Supreme Court ruling. After that, it's a gray area because I don't know that anyone's ever defied a Supreme Court ruling, especially a unanimous one on top of that.
I think, man, that they really trying to tie their hands, because if they tie their hands, then if they tie their hands, then that's showing this new regime that you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. So I can go get Joe and say Joe is a criminal and he's beating old ladies over the head with baseball bats, send him to El Salvador. Well, why would I want to send a U.S. citizen who was born here to El Salvador? There's enough prisons and jails here, but there's a reason why he's doing that. And if you notice that when he talk about it, he say it's so much money. His drive is money. It's about money for him, man.
Yeah. And that is why it is so important that you get out and engage.
There you go.
And you get out and vote. And you get out and advocate on behalf of the things that are important to you. Brian, could you just go through a little bit? We got a few minutes yet. Could you just kind of go through and talk about ways that if people feel disenfranchised, if people feel that way, how they can organize and advocate?
Right. I was writing a little notes and playing around over here. So, all right, Milwaukee listeners, if you want to get involved in making a difference right here in the community, it's few things to do to get involved civically or to get some civic engagement. So one of the first things to do, and this is one of the first levels, if y'all want to write these down, record me, however, know what's happening around you. Tune in, be on the show, listen to local news and public affair programs, or other stations. Stay informed about local issues, government decisions, and community events. Read local news. You got to subscribe to, and I like Wiz Politics as well. Just knowing what's going on. You will find something in there that you believe in that is important to you. Infrastructure, childcare, mental health care. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Arts,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever you feel is important. So follow local government. Most Milwaukee city and county departments have websites, social media. Attend community meetings. We just talked about that. The importance of just going to like listening sessions, even virtually. Keep an eye out for notices of common council meetings, county board meetings, school board meetings, and neighborhood association gatherings. Make your voice heard. Be a voice. Contact your elected officials. Know who your alderperson is. That's important. You got to engage with your alderperson, county supervisor, state representatives, state senators, and federal representatives. Their contact information is usually available on their website, as you do know. So don't hesitate to give them a call or email them. And Joe mentioned that earlier. Speak up about public hearings. When local government bodies are considering, important decisions, they have the local hearings. So also this is your chance to share your opinions and perspectives directly. Write letters. I think you mentioned writing letters, or to the editor or the emails, or call in to the talk shows, share your thoughts on local issues. You get that practice in, you call into a local show and you speak in your mind. You should be able to get up in an assembly in a hearing and speak about how you feel about a certain topic. If you're passionate about it. Participate in online surveys, get involved directly. Volunteering is a way to get involved directly. Of course, a lot of the nonprofits we have, organizations, we do rely on volunteers. People are always looking for volunteers. Find a cause that you care about. Homelessness. You got the arts. You got education. Of course, we talked about the environment. It's a good way to make, of course, as they said, a tangible difference. And then join neighborhood associations. We work with some neighborhood associations, Sherman Park, Garden Homes.
I was gonna say Garden Homes.
So we have those. Again, attending community events. We have them. They're having. You see them all the time. One of the local stations, or shout out to all the local stations, but WISN is always showing local state community events too. Considering serving on a local board or commission. I know that was your thing too, right? You was a local board guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so many city and county boards, of course, related, they rely on volunteers, and some people, they need people to come in. They need a breath of fresh air sometimes. So, if you want to, or if you're interested in that, especially if you have an expertise in a space, bring that so they can know who you are and what you have the expertise in and how you can assist the local area. Educate yourself, and I think I tapped in a lot of areas so far. And getting involved overall is the biggest thing. I hope some of those made sense, where there's the emails, where there's, going to community sessions, working with nonprofits. And of course we could break it down more in the future, but I think that's a good start. What do you think so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great start. And it's a starting point for a lot of people, because, you don't have to go get in your car, drive to Madison, go sit and testify or go stand in front of your legislator, you can write a letter. You can send an email. You can make a phone call, and all that information is there for you to do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks don't feel like they, I don't know how, or I don't know where to start. Well, right there, we just gave you a lot of tips on where to start. If, you feel disenfranchised, you feel like, your issues have been overlooked for a period of time or for a long time, and you really want to see some change. These are some great tips, Brian, that I think they can take with them. And
thank you.
Yeah,
I think I think over time, as we go on through of course the year, but we'll be talking about, just that fresh reminder, just making sure everybody knows the importance of, finding somewhere, because we may not tapped into today, but it may take a month or two, but we'll definitely keep reminding you ways of, getting involved and civically in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, definitely when it comes to policy, definitely reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk policy with you at any time, or kick it around and talk, I guess shop talk. But
right, you already know. Yeah.
Oh, one other thing, Brian, I wanted to let folks know about is, well, I think next week I had planned for it. I think we ran out of a little bit of time, but going through some of the committees hearings and when they are, because there's a lot of committees that go on. One way that you can go check this out is wisi.org. It's a nonprofit that makes sure that they broadcast a lot of the committee hearings. They broadcast the Senate floor hearings and things so forth in Madison.
Yeah.
So that's WISEYE.org. You can go on there and watch any of these committee hearings and find out what's going on, and better yet, see how your representative voted. You can watch these live, and so I think if you can sign up for free as well, and you can go back and view recorded previous committee hearings and Senate floor hearings. And there's a couple of them just today, like the Assembly Committee on Public Benefits, the Assembly Committee on Ways and Means, Senate Committee on Natural Resources, Veteran and Military Affairs. So every single day there are things happening in Madison, in Washington, D.C., and right here in Milwaukee that affect a lot of people's lives. And a lot of times we just go about our day and we don't really even think about it. But I think now more than ever, we need to be paying a lot more attention to what's going on, what legislation's coming up, what these committees are working on, and what they're focusing on. And I think maybe that's something that we start to work into the show a little bit and make sure that our listeners are as informed as we can let them be.
I think that'd be a great idea, just to lay that down before we come on and just tell them, hey, this is what's going to be,
this week,
yep. Or this was coming up in the next few weeks or whatever. So yeah, let's do that. Let's get in the flow of that.
Definitely. But we ran out of a little bit of time today, but man, it was great having you back, Brian.
I appreciate that, man.
Great coming back, and
thank you.
And always great, co-hosting with you.
Yeah,
and
it's a good, smooth flowing show. That's what I like, man. And we do a great job, man. So I appreciate you, and thank you for holding it down for 860 WNOV 106.5 and all that good stuff.
Hold on. What? Now, I felt like I was employed with you guys yesterday, man. Because me and Joe, man, and we went hard, man. And you didn't give me my accolades, man. So
look, hold on. I got, man. Look, hold on. Shout out to Jermaine Ride Out for doing this thing, man. Not only
me and Joe and B, man.
Right.
I gotta say, big shout out to Jermaine for jumping in there and helping out yesterday. Awesome.
Appreciate
crew,
y'all,
man. We get it done.
You guys are cool guys, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you
pleasure,
too,
man. To do anything I can do to help, man.
Yeah, that's real. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. You are on 860 WNOV 106.5 FM, Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. We'll see y'all next week.